listening to the Friday Five here on the Agent Survival Guide podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Ruppel, and this is our weekly list of 5 things you should know about. Today is April 24th. Couple of quick hits and headlines to get us started. On Monday this week, Oscar announced its newest venture, Lucy, a health insurance marketplace platform for individuals, brokers, and employers. My initial takeaway, very interesting messaging around coverage packages rather than just health insurance coverage. Super interesting way to frame the shopping experience. And then President Trump recently nominated Kevin Warsh to be the next Federal Reserve Chair. The president also recently nominated Dr. Erica Schwartz to direct the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. And then HHS Secretary RFK Jr. announced that Casey B. Mulligan would join the department, serving as chief economist and regulatory officer. Sticking with the government here, Dr. Oz, administrator of the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, recently spoke at Politico's Healthcare Summit. He mentioned an upcoming call for states to submit plans on revalidating Medicare providers. So we are on the lookout for that document coming from CMS. Ruppel recommends. I don't often get to talk about podcasts here on the show that are related to what we do. Usually they're business pods or they are shows about marketing, if they're not straight up audio fiction. KFF announced a new podcast called The Business of Health, hosted by Kahn, and naturally their first guest interview was with CEO Drew Altman. Definitely following along with their show, and I'm excited to hear what they've got in the works. We will have the link to their feed in our episode notes, so you can check out the show too. I am still trying to find a replacement for my daily news show that went on hiatus and still has not come back. I've found a few to rotate between, but none of them are quite the same. And that means that on the weekends, I've been doing more audiobook listening than podcast listening, still working my way through Isaac Asimov's Foundation series. And then on streaming this week, I'm looking forward to watching Tales from 85 this weekend. That is the animated Stranger Things spin-off that explores what happened between seasons 2 and 3 of the show. With all new actors voicing the characters and a new addition to the crew, it will be an interesting watch. At my house, we recently finished season 2 of One Piece and The Imperfects, so it's been a little dry in the streaming realm lately. If you've got any recommendations, shows, movies, podcasts, audiobooks, our email is in the episode notes. Feel free to send your recommendations my way and get a shout out here on the show. Moving on to tech takeaways, couple of things to mention here as well. First up, you probably heard that current Apple CEO Tim Cook announced his plans to retire in September of this year. Cook has named John Ternus, Senior VP of Hardware Engineering, as his successor. The Ternus era will begin on September 1st, 2026, which means that Cook will headline his last WWDC in June this year. And Ternus will be the one taking the stage this fall to announce the iPhone 18 lineup. And while we're on the subject of the iPhone 18, rumor has it dark cherry will be the featured color this time around. I was thinking a nice warm maroon, the color of a dark cherry, but all the mock-ups that I've seen show a very red-leaning burgundy purple color that looks more like a wine red than a cherry red. Hard to say until we get the official announcement and photos, but I love a good Apple rumor. I also would really love a pink iPhone Pro Max, just putting that out there into the universe. Microsoft announced an update coming to Teams in June that some users will be happy about, especially if they have ever accidentally raised their hand in a meeting while trying to do something else in the navigation bar. Microsoft will be tucking that feature into the React option in an attempt to cut down on accidental hand raising. Also noted in the same Microsoft 365 roadmap note, quote, "Leave is clearly separated on the right," end quote. I can't say that I've accidentally raised my hand in Teams, but I have unintentionally left a meeting while trying to minimize the meeting window. Hard to say if the change Microsoft mentioned will address that issue or not. Our next headline could also be considered a tech takeaway, because Amazon has announced plans to take away the ability to use these devices beginning on May 20th. And I'm sad to say that, yes, we are talking about some older Kindle devices that Amazon has put on retirement notice. Earlier this month, Amazon sent out notifications to affected Kindle users that they would be discontinuing software updates and removing web services for a handful of Kindles. This is the full list of affected devices: the first and second generation Kindle, the Kindle DX, the Kindle DX Graphite, the Kindle Keyboard, the Kindle 4, the Kindle Touch, the Kindle 5, the first generation Kindle Paperwhite, the first and second generation Kindle Fire, the Kindle Fire HD 7, and the Kindle Fire HD 8.9. Amazon's email to Kindle owners of those devices said that as of May 20th, the devices would no longer be supported for updates or web services. That means if you've been using the Libby app on one of those devices, Amazon is pretty much forcing you to buy a new one. Couple other things to keep in mind. Amazon is not allowing users to deregister, then factory reset and register the device again. The move has disappointed many affected Kindle users who reported that their devices are working just fine, despite the fact that they are between 14 and 18 years old. In that email that we mentioned, Amazon has offered a discount code for a new Kindle device for those affected by this discontinuation. Purchased content will still be available through the various Kindle apps and on the web version. I was curious to see how many different Kindles are currently available for sale right now, and there are still quite a few different models to choose from. I purchased mine back in 2023, and I remember looking through a few different models at that time. The current models include the regular Kindle, the Kindle Paperwhite, the Kindle Colorsoft, and the Kindle Scribe. Prices vary from just over $100 on the low end to just over $600 for the newest color version that supports note-taking with a stylus. We will be linking to more information on this retirement in the episode notes. This is something that would make a good mention in your client newsletters. I'm not sure how I feel about jailbreaking an older Kindle to maintain functionality, but I might feel differently if my device were affected and I had a lot of downloaded material on it, along with a habit of using that device. Up next, Amazon made the list for this episode again with some health-related news. On Tuesday this week, Amazon One Medical launched their new GLP-1 management program. The program combines primary care, virtual care, and pharmacy services in an attempt to prevent what Amazon describes as, quote, fragmented care, receiving one-off weight management solutions from providers who don't see the full picture of their health with unclear medication costs, end quote. This integration can start with either primary care or virtual care. I checked my zip code and there were no primary care providers in my area, so I would guess that it's a limited rollout initially, which makes sense. After you get your prescription, ideally you'd use Amazon's pharmacy services to fill that prescription. And if you've already got a GLP-1 prescription from your provider, theoretically you could use Amazon's pharmacy to fill it, but of course you'd want to check the numbers first, see if it makes sense. At launch, Amazon will offer injectable forms of Wegovy and Zepbound, as well as the Zepbound Quick Pen. They can also fulfill scripts for GLP-1 pills from Wegovy and Foundayo. Pricing seems pretty competitive to what we've seen from other companies working with GLP-1 makers. Amazon noted a few price points for medication types, but didn't get into specific doses in their release. For those with insurance, GLP-1 pills could be as low as $25 per month, while those paying with cash would be looking at a $149 per month price tag. And then the injectables start at a cash price of $299. No mention of what the cost is for those with insurance coverage. Delivery of these prescriptions is easily Amazon's strongest selling point for the program. Same-day delivery is already available to 3,000 cities, with plans to expand that number to 4,500 by the end of this year. When Amazon announced the program, one takeaway was the potential this has to nerf the success platforms like Hims and Hers came to enjoy when GLP-1s were in short supply, and they were able to help pick up the slack by prescribing compounded versions of the drug. After the shortage, the company brokered deals with several GLP-1 makers. In fact, Hims and Hers has more GLP-1 products available right now, but Amazon could expand their offerings in the future. Interesting move from Amazon. We will have the link to the official release and program details in our notes. The momentum of GLP-1s have certainly raised some issues and questions in the industry. It's been fascinating to watch solutions come to market in real time and see how they do. This is definitely one that we will be keeping our eyes on. And before I go, just want to give a shout out to Valerie P. here on the show. She sent an email last week asking about the Final Rule PDF. Thanks for reaching out, and thank you so much for listening, Valerie. If you would like a shout out here on the show, maybe you've got a brand new downline agent, maybe you're celebrating 10 years in the business, maybe it's your birthday today. We would love to celebrate those milestones with you. So reach out, asgpodcast@ritterim.com, and you can also find our email in the episode notes. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to our show today. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay healthy and stay safe out there, and we will see you next week. The Agent Survival Guide podcast is a production of Ritter Insurance Marketing, an integrity company. This episode was written and produced by me, Sarah Ruppel. Script editing and fact check by Emily Ryan. Podcast design by Urban Rivera. Like what you hear? Follow along with our show wherever you get your podcasts.